Can you hear me?
No, just hold on a second.
Stand by.
Try it now.
Can you hear me? Well, good evening. My name is Nigel Broadbent, and I've lived in America for just over 11 years. And last November, I became a proud American citizen. Thank you. I am not an English American citizen. We are not white American citizens. We are not black American citizens. We are not African American citizens. We are all Americans. All those other terms are just divisive and used to manipulate people for their vote. When I moved here 11 years ago, I saw a different America to what I see today. Americans seemed happier, less burdened by government. 11 years later, I see a divided country. So I want to start with a question. Is America a democracy? I've asked that question to many people outside of these groups, and everyone except for a handful has said yes, America is a democracy. No, America is a republic, a constitutional republic. The word democracy is not written into the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the Declaration of Independence. We all need to educate people of that and what it means. For example, if you have 3 wolves and 1 sheep, and the wolves say, "Let's eat the sheep," and the sheep says no, in a democracy, the sheep gets eaten. Now, in a republic, if the same 3 wolves vote to eat the sheep and the sheep says no, the sheep is protected by the Constitution and has a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So therefore has a right to life. In a republic, the sheep would also have a gun. And if it's Pennsylvania, hopefully an AR-15. A democracy only safeguards 51% of the people, which means that 49% of the people are left unprotected. Now, in a republic, 100% of the people are protected by the Constitution. Everyone has the same rights. Everyone has the same freedoms, freedom of speech, religion, etc. 99% of the people cannot take away the rights of the 1%. Democracy says that it promises equality. There is no right to equality. A republic does not guarantee equality, but a republic does guarantee liberty. And with that liberty comes freedom. So why is that important? If you lose the republic, then you lose the Constitution. The Constitution is protected from hasty political changes. 38 states have to approve an amendment to make a change to the Constitution. In a democracy, one emotional event can change everything for politicians' fear for not getting re-elected. And this is how England and the United Kingdom lost its gun rights. In 1986, 17 people were killed, including the perpetrator, by a 27-year-old man in a place called Hungerford, England. The following year, in 1987, the government, under Prime Minister John Major, amended the Firearms Act to ban all semi-automatic rifles and limit shotguns to 3 cartridges. Then a few years later, in 1996, in Dunblane, Scotland, 18 people were killed by a 43-year-old man, 16 children, 1 teacher, and the perpetrator. The following year, in 1997, except for .22 pistols, all firearms were banned by the government under Prime Minister John Major. There are some exceptions. And then a few months later, after the next election, the new Prime Minister, Tony Blair, banned all .22 pistols. This would never have happened if the United Kingdom had been a republic, because one committee would not have the power to remove and get rid of firearms in the entire country. This is another reason why you must educate that America is a republic, and explain that a republic protects 100% of the people. Most young people do not understand that, but it's not their fault. The schools and some parents do not teach them. So the responsibility falls to you and me. Just going back to the gun ban in 1997, since then, home invasion, robberies, muggings, burglaries have skyrocketed. The list goes on and on. People are not safer in their homes, and definitely not safer out in public. Just a few weeks ago, it was reported that there are more murders now in London than New York. And the gun crime is up by 42%. It took just 15 minutes to print out the following information. And this was April, March and February this year. Man shot in Sheffield, United Kingdom, April. 17-year-old girl shot dead, Tottenham, UK, April this year. Crookham shooting, 3 convicted, April. A 16-year-old girl shot dead, London, April. Man dies after gunshot, Birmingham, UK, March. Man shot, Luton, UK, April. Man shot, then stabbed in Glasgow, March. Man, 19, shot dead, London, March. 31-year-old man, shot dead, Birmingham, UK, March. Man shot in head after being brutally attacked in West Bromwich, UK, March. 10 minutes to print that off. You can go online and you can put up pages and pages of shootings in the UK where guns have been banned since 1997, 21 years ago. Only the criminals in the UK now have the guns. Man, and this is March, April, February this year. Man stabbed, North London. Police warn residents to secure homes after woman killed in Wolverhampton. Man stabbed to death, London, February. 2 men stabbed to death in London. 7 gun deaths and knife attacks in 6 days. 3 men stabbed, UK, March. Man stabbed to death, London, UK, April. Man stabbed to death, London, April. Man stabbed to death, Birmingham, UK. 74-year-old grandmother stabbed to death in Warsaw. Woman fighting for her life after being stabbed outside church. Oh, and knives are banned in the UK as well. People become immune when this happens on a day-to-day basis because the laws in place do not stop the criminals and the judiciary fails the people. The government lied to the British people. Do you trust the American politicians with the Second Amendment? Exactly. So there is no Second Amendment in the UK, and freedom of speech is currently under attack in the UK as well. If you say the wrong thing, step out of line, you will lose your job, or you can be arrested and end up in jail. I have videos that I can share of people speaking out, politicians, not extremists, and they have been arrested and some of them put in jail just for standing up and saying what they believe in. People now do not do the right thing out of fear. Without no Second Amendment, there can be no First. Thank you. So when did the question move from shall not be infringed to how many rounds you can have in your magazine, or what permit do you need to travel from state to state. Once they achieve their goals, they never stop. They continue to ban everything they can. Knives are banned in the UK. If you have a baseball bat in your car, you can be arrested. Even mace and pepper spray is a Class 5 firearms offence in the UK. You cannot defend yourself. It really is survival of the fittest. God has been removed from the British population, and this is part of the problem. Without God, there is no guidance for the common good. This is just one reason why Islam is taking over the United Kingdom and Europe, and slowly taking over America, and infiltrating every aspect of American life. ISNA, Islamic Society of North America. CARE, Council on American Islamic Relations. The list goes on and on. I answer, International Action Network on Small Arms, recognised by the United Nations. And believe me, the United Nations is no friend of America. In my opinion, all of these organisations oppose the Constitution and the Republic. You can go to the Islamic Society of North America, based in Plainfield, Indiana, www.isna.net, and you will see all of the organisations they support, hundreds of groups and affiliations. Just look at their online magazine and look at the plans that they have for the American school system. Islam is not a religion, so you cannot be racist, because it is not a race. It is a totalitarian political ideology that rejects the basic principles and freedom of liberty. It even has its own legal system, Sharia law, which is not compatible with American laws and culture. Islam will never assimilate and is not compatible with Western civilization in its current format, because Islam does not separate church and state, unlike America. In 20, 30 or 40 years from now, when Europe falls, you won't have to worry about the nuclear threat from Iran or North Korea, because the nuclear threat will come from a radically controlled United Kingdom, France, India or Pakistan. They already have nuclear weapons and are within striking distance. I was an immigrant for 10 years. I am a veteran. I will defend the American flag and the Constitution. The American immigration system is not broken. It is fair, but the process has been infiltrated and taken over and is being used as a weapon to flood immigrants and refugees into America. President Trump is fighting against this, but he needs our help. Because the situation has reached a point where some politicians and some state representatives would rather spend your money bringing people in America who hate American values just so they can get their vote. Refugee status is not a constitutional pathway to citizenship. And hopefully Donald Trump and the representatives that you elect can fix this. Why would you want to invite hundreds and thousands of people to come to a country that have no loyalty towards the Constitution and do not support it and would prefer to have it replaced? The United Kingdom will never have the same opportunity that America has had. You were saved by your Constitution. And the Constitution is not a living, breathing document. In London, they expect and accept terrorist attacks as part of living in a big city. Do you really want to create a society where everyone is suspicious of everyone else and wonder when the next terrorist attack will be and how many people will be killed? They have dumbed down society so much that being attacked is now acceptable. No, it is not part of daily life and it should never be accepted. At least in America, you can shoot back and defend yourself and your family. Even though some politicians and state legislators do not believe you have that right. As more and more terrorist attacks occur in America, and they will continue to occur, the left and the progressive politicians will use this to try to bring in more gun control legislation. So where does the threat come from? And how do we fight back? The threat comes from elected politicians that have no loyalty to America but only their agenda. The threat comes from the media, universities, colleges and schools that have been infiltrated at all levels. Each generation is being weakened by the education system. It is fully intentional. It is the only way they can destroy America and the Constitution. Children are being taught to hate America just so the left can achieve their agenda. Instead, they should be taught about the Constitution, freedom and liberty. They should be taught about the Second Amendment. The threat also comes from the judicial system, which decides, which is creating its own laws. It is not the job of the judicial system to create laws. That should be made by Congress and the state legislature level. It is not the job of the judiciary. The threat also comes from an Article 5 convention, or a convention of states, which could end up rewriting the Constitution. They will try to disguise it as a balanced budget amendment or to create term limits for politicians. Term limits already exist. The people are the custodians of term limits. Would you have applied term limits to the Founding Fathers? The Founding Fathers were farmers, fresh with feelings from sacrifice of war. Some of today's politicians are professional bureaucrats. Some of them have never done a day's work in their life. Yeah, some politicians have let us down, but it's the people that vote for those politicians. Need my assistant, Mark. Here is a list of anti-gun national organisations. All of these organisations have officially endorsed anti-gun positions. Ready for the second one? Here is a list of anti-gun corporations. These corporations have lent their corporate support to gun control initiatives or taken positions supporting gun control. Thank you. Hang on. Round of applause for my assistant there. There are consequences to the political actions of these companies that do not support the Constitution. If we continue to support these companies financially, then we will eventually lose our freedoms, just like in the United Kingdom. How many of you walk into the cinema, walking past the no firearms sign? I don't even buy cheese if it says made in New York on the packaging, because of their anti-gun and anti-America agenda. I would like you all to join me in a prayer, the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespass, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. So what do we do? How do we fight all the evil around us? And how do we defeat the evil? And I say evil because that is what we are fighting against. There are a lot of people out there that have been misguided, given wrong information, and they believe what they have been told and do not question it. Now, the people controlling them and manipulating them, they are the evil of America. For the misguided people, we need to find ways of reaching out to them, and this has to be done in a caring and compassionate way, and not argumentative. That will only harden their views. The politicians, Republican and Democrat, have both let us down, and it's time to rebuild them. Watch out for politicians that want to change political parties but do not want to change their political views and agenda. They just want to get re-elected. and will join any party to do that. Remember, the Constitution is the supreme law of the land and not the Supreme Court. And Congress can only make laws within its constitutional bounds. National reciprocity already exists under the Constitution, but Congress has allowed the Supreme Court to claim otherwise. And the people have allowed Congress and state legislators to get away with it. We are fighting for something we already have. It's not the Supreme Court's decision, but we have allowed it to get to that stage. The states do not have a right to decide which constitutional rights they agree with and which ones they do not. Our current strategy is that we react and then we fight back. We occasionally go on the offensive, pigs to nicks, national reciprocity. But what are we fighting for? What is the American mission statement? The Obama apology tour has filtered through to our young. People now apologise for wearing and flying the American flag because it offends non-Americans. If you are offended by the American flag, then leave America. Our strategy must be education. Our currency, information, and our weapon, the truth. With these three things in mind, we can win. Ladies and gentlemen, if we implement these three methods with courage, honour, dignity and integrity, words that are no longer taught in our education system, then we can win. No longer should we turn a blind eye to schools that suspend a child for wearing an NRA t-shirt. Or having a cookie that looks like a pistol. Find out who these school board representatives are and get these people replaced at election time. Emailing them and writing them will not change their agenda. It will only slow them down. Remember, America is not a democracy. America is a constitutional republic. A constitutional republic which protects 100% of the people. Article 1 of the Constitution gives the power to Congress. Article 2 of the Constitution gives the power to the President. And Article 3 gives the power to the judiciary. How many young people today could name 5 of the 27 amendments? How many young people today could name the 5 freedoms of the First Amendment? Freedom of speech, freedom of press, religion, assembly, and to petition the government. How many young people today could name those 5? Start discussing this and the Constitution with your family and friends and neighbours. We can only give away our freedoms by consent. Learn the Constitution and then educate people. Ask them which part of the Constitution do they not like? Which freedom do they not agree with? And remind them that the Second Amendment protects them all. A question for you. What does it mean to be American? How do you define yourself as a people? Americans are some of the nicest and kindest people in the world. That is one of your strengths and your weakness. If you cannot define who you are, then how can you defend it? Each and every one of you here today are very important. Do not underestimate how important you are. Get involved. Stand up and be counted like Officer Palla. Thank you, Officer Palla, for making a stand. Today, we stand with you. America's survival is depending on people like you all over the country. The Constitution has protected you and your children for over 200 years. It is your turn now to protect the Constitution. Let this be a warning. I was too young and naive in the United Kingdom when my firearm rights were taken away from me. Never again. As long as the Second Amendment exists in the United States Constitution and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania's Constitution, then I will obey the Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land, and I will not surrender my firearms without a fight. If you are a police officer, soldier, law enforcement, you do not have to carry out unconstitutional orders. Please be strong enough and have the courage to keep your oath. Because once they take away the guns from us, they will come after you next, like in the United Kingdom. I'd like to say a few words to the protesters. If anybody on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, how will taking away my guns from me solve anything? Thousands and thousands of dollars each year are wasted fighting pro-gun supporters. We can join together and fix these problems by investing our time towards anti-bullying programmes, better behaviour health counsellors for schools. Teachers could be better trained to support these children instead of ignoring the issues. Research into dangers of SSRIs, medications that are being handed out by doctors to any child that they do not have the time to deal with. Single parent issues, video games, the list goes on and on. How many protesters belong to school bullying programs or even know if their school has one? These are the solutions. Tell your politicians to stop wasting time fighting against us and to solve the problem. Only together can we solve the issues. God bless you all, and God bless America.